On today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, we'll check in live as Arizona State baseball takes on Mississippi State in Starkville.
Plus, ASU women's basketball finally secures a conference win. Find out how it went down in Corvallis last night.
And finally, the men's team prepares to head south to U of A to kick off their toughest stretch of games yet. All of this and more on Cronkite Sports Live. Hello and welcome in. I'm Ethan Tuttle, joined alongside this fresh new suit in Riley Swenson.
Ethan, I had to get a new suit because we're going to Vegas. Stark Vegas. Willie Bloomquist and the baseball team are in action down in SEC country. Let's take you down to the Magnolia State for a live update on the game. There you see right there, Sun Devils already up 7-0. The bottom half, inning number 4, looking good.
Yeah, it was Keishel and Crenshaw with some home runs early in this game to start things off for ASU. Just an offensive explosion. Like you said, 7-0, great start.
Yeah, we'll certainly have updates for you throughout that game and throughout the afternoon. And to talk more baseball and the hot start that they've had, we bring in WCSN baseball reporter Sammy Newt. Sammy, the pitching staff was totally revamped in the offseason and has been a huge part of their early success. What has allowed them to be so effective through the first 4 games?
Yeah, the easiest way to answer that is ASU appeared to have much more depth in the rotation than they did last year. In their first 4 games, the 4 starters have been excellent, throwing 16 1/3 scoreless innings, but they've only thrown 16 innings over 4 games, so the bullpen has had to carry the brunt of the workload. Last year, that would have been a death sentence for the Sun Devils, and now, even though it has been slightly shaky at times, the ASU bullpen has been able to keep the run scoring at a minimum.
Sammy, it's not just the pitching staff that has seen a lot of changes. The batting lineup is loaded with transfers and freshmen. Who have been the standouts from that group early on?
Yeah, Riley, the surprise impact player for the Sun Devils has been senior Division II transfer Wyatt Crenshaw. Coming into the season, ASU expected to start Will Rogers, Nick McClain, and Isaiah Jackson in the outfield. But due to McClain being out 6 weeks with a wrist injury, Crenshaw slotted into right field, and he's made the most of his opportunity. The Colorado Christian transfer has come out of the gates on fire, leading the team with 9 hits and 6 extra base hits, including the 2-run home run today. He has also played stellar defense in right field. The star freshman so far has been Luke Hill. Coming into this weekend, Hill is right behind Crenshaw for the team lead with 7 hits, and while his impressive .636 batting average leads the team, the surprising thing about him so far has been his defense. The freshman has made multiple stellar plays at the all-important shortstop position.
Yeah, so we saw early on how the Sun Devils are doing game 1 of this series, up 7-0, looking good, but what do they need to do to go into Starkville and get a series win against a tough SEC opponent?
In the offseason, head coach Willie Bloomquist made it a point that ASU will be playing together, playing tougher teams during their non-conference schedule, and its trip to the 2021 national champions are just that. Last year was a disappointing year for Mississippi State as they failed to make the tournament. And an improved roster from last year has struggled out of the gates, going 3-2 in their first 5 games, with losses to Virginia Military Institute and University of Louisiana Monroe. So if ASU continues to pitch like they have so far this year, it could be an interesting series in Starkville.
As always, thank you for your time, Sammy. We'll keep our eye on that game, have an update for you later in the broadcast.
Over at Farrington Stadium, Sun Devil softball is back in business, and with a new head coach, there are new additions in the lineup and around the diamond. Grace Johnson has the story on a Sun Devil who has waited her turn to make it to the top.
Coming into the 2023 season, senior infielder Jordan Van Hook had only started in 11 games in her first 3 years here in Tempe. This season, she has started in all 10 games for ASU, and so far, she has been a crucial factor in the Sun Devils' offense. Compared to her past couple of seasons, this performance by Van Hook came out of left field.
I've just been working really hard this offseason. Yes, I didn't get that much playing time as my previous 3 years, but right now I'm just focused on making the most of my opportunities. Not really trying to think much of it, just taking it day by day. So just continuing with this path I'm going on. So yeah.
She currently has the 2nd highest batting average on the team, hitting .483 and a slugging percentage of .1172. This is a massive improvement from last season when Van Hook only batted .176. With 6 home runs, 14 hits, and 12 RBIs, Van Hook is already on track to have her best season yet. Last week, Van Hook was named Pac-12 Player of the Week for her performance in the Littlewood Classic. She batted .643, going 9 for 14 on the weekend with 10 RBIs and a 5-game hitting streak. She also hit a home run in 4 consecutive games in the Classic, setting a career best. Heading into this weekend, Van Hook is tied for first in Division I for the most home runs this season at 6. Van Hook will look to continue her hitting streak this Friday as the Sun Devils take on Iowa State in a 3-game series at Club Farrington. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Grace Johnson. Back to you guys.
Let's check out some women's hoops highlights as Sun Devil women's basketball still searching for that first conference win. Over to Corvallis we go as it's Adley Blacklock from downtown to get things going for the Beavers early. That was the first of many threes to come for the Beavers, including 3 from A.J. Murat, who knocked down the triple here in the second quarter. And early in the third, it's Bendu Yeni splitting the seam on the beautiful pass from Blacklock right there, giving Oregon State the largest lead of the game at 17 points. But here come the Sun Devils as Ty Skinner step back jumper goes down for 3. Now they trail by just 5. Simmons to Hunt for another 3 right there, putting them within 2. And then now it's just all about finally getting over that final hump, 53-52, and the Sun Devils able to get another 3 to go down once again, as it was a tight game down the stretch, and ASU needed a clutch shot, and they got one right here from freshman Treyana Crisp. She actually fell down after knocking down that shot. No foul called. Beautiful stuff from the Sun Devils there as they improve to 8-18, 1-16 in conference play. They find their first win. Coach Adair super psyched about it.
From one team that was in desperate need of a win to another, we switch our focus to men's basketball. And taking a look at their upcoming schedule, they have a tough road trip to end the season with games against Arizona, UCLA, and USC before they head to that Pac-12 tournament. And for a status on the Devils' tournament hopes, here's Ben Parrish, the new segment titled Bubble Watch.
With 16 days to go before Selection Sunday, Bobby Hurley and the Sun Devils are currently on the outside looking in when it comes to making the NCAA tournament. At one point, the Devils were as high as 22nd in the net ranking. We're on a sure path to make the big dance, but after taking a tumble and a fall way down to 70th in the net, ASU will have to do something completely monumental to somehow make it to March. The Sun Devils will end their season with 3 Quad 1 matchups on the road, and it all begins tomorrow against the team down south, who the Devils fell to 69-60 at home at DFA over winter break. U of A is a team with incredible size and will to win, being ranked number 7 in the country behind a top 10 scoring offense in the nation. A win over the Wildcats would mean much more than just a win for your rival for Coach Hurley and company, as it would give them a ton of momentum and keep their March dreams alive. From Tucson to LA, ASU will finish their season against the Southern California schools that the Devils lost to in back-to-back games at home earlier this season. A win at number 4 UCLA, ASU would have to do something that no road team has done so far this season: win a game at Pauley Pavilion. UCLA shot an even 50% from the field in their first game against ASU inside a hostile Desert Financial Arena and took the game by 12, although it sure felt a whole lot closer than that. If Arizona State can somehow win at UCLA, the dream could live on for one more day. The regular season ends a week from Sunday against USC, who is currently projected to be the last Pac-12 team in the tournament by many bracketologists. Coach Hurley said the defensive performance was atrocious by his team when they faced the Trojans back in January, but ended that game on a 16-0 run to trim their loss to be won by only single digits. It seems like ASU's defense is getting back to where it was at the beginning of the season, which could be a good sign as the Pac-12 tournament nears. Look, it's going to be really hard for ASU to win just one of these games, never mind 2 or 3 of them. And what ASU needs is wins both over Arizona and UCLA over the next 9 days. Then they probably need another one against one of those teams in the Pac-12 tournament. ASU has simply inflicted too much damage on themselves this season for a likely at-large bid into the tournament, and frankly need a miracle, but as they say, it's not over until it's over.
Thank you, Ben, and you're absolutely right. Believe it or not, Arizona State has found itself in a similar position before in Bobby Hurley's tenure. We'll throw it over to Jake Seymour for this week's edition of The Vault.
After a 15-3 open to the season, the Sun Devils appear to be on track for a 2023 tournament bid. But the program encountered a 9-game stretch that had the Sun Devils losers in 6 contests. The record appears unprecedented, but it's a situation the Sun Devils experienced under head coach Bobby Hurley. During the 2017-18 campaign, the Sun Devils began the year 14-3, which at the time was the best start a Hurley-led team achieved. All appeared well until ASU lost 4 of its final 5 regular season games. The Sun Devils' hope to make a run of the Pac-12 tournament was short-lived after losing their first game to Colorado. Despite the rough ending, ASU still attained a bid to dance in March, but the dream ended at the hands of Syracuse, who defeated the Sun Devils in the first 4. In total, ASU finished the season losing 6 of its final 7 games, but made the tournament thanks to major wins across its schedule.
We were able to pull Jake out of the vault and bring him here on the desk. Jake, a lot of time traveling for you today, so thank you so much for coming on. Glad you could make it.
Yeah, busy morning. Marty McFly just parked a DeLorean outside. Been a busy morning for sure.
Yeah, Jake, you highlighted ASU's losing streak back in the 2017-18 season, which resembles this season's stretch of losses, but how does the two compare in reference to the metrics compared season to season?
Yeah, so first you have to start with the season ranking. And what happens is there was the RPI in 2017-18. It was the last season that metric was used. Now we have the net ranking. And basically both of those rankings had heavy implications on March Madness seedings. And with ASU this season right now, after the weekend, they were at 72. Now they're enter Arizona at 66. They were 66 on Selection Sunday in 2018. A lot of work to do for them going forward with those 3 tough matches Ben highlighted earlier. But then again, it comes down to making sure you take care of business against those teams.
Alrighty, Jake, as always, thank you so much for coming on, for your insight. That big-time rivalry game tips off tomorrow at noon on CBS.
My goodness, the equipment crew in DFA has to be running on empty. Take down the nets because we've got gymnastics, baby. Number 4, Utah's in town, so let's get right into it. Starting off with Anaya Smith as the gymnastics team getting ready to go. Smith coming all the way down the vault. It's going to be a Yurchenko 1.5, scoring her a 9.9. Beautifully done right there. Let's go ahead and fast forward to Hannah Scharf on the uneven bars. Her routine would score a 9.975, and she even received a 10 from one of the judges. Sarah Clark, no stranger to the bars either, a 9.975, doing just great stuff as the Sun Devils continue to kill it in all facets of the gym. You can see her team celebrating with her right there. And then let's go ahead over to Hannah Scharf here once again on the beam. She's just waiting to dismount here. And then we have Jordan Jaslow, or excuse me, that's Sarah Clark with the back handspring 1.5 dismount right there. Now it's Jaslow with that brace on her knee. Beautifully done. It's a double tuck. And then later on, we have Emily White on her floor exercise routine as she's getting into some of the action here, as she'd score a 9.9, leaving it all for Hannah Scharf with the double pike on the floor. She needed a 9.9 to secure the win for ASU. She would score a 9.925, good enough to do it for the Sun Devils. Here's what Coach Santos had to say following the performance.
And we talked about next time it comes around, we're going to try, we want to be on the other end of that. So to give some of those seniors that send off here with some of these moments, like that's what it's all about. Like, right, to be able to prepare them and put them in that situation, and then for them to go achieve it, like, I don't have the words.
With that win, the Sun Devils moved to 5-5 on the season while maintaining their top 25 ranking. For those of you who may be confused or unsure of how ASU can be in the top 25 with a record like that, here's how the NCAA gymnastic rankings work. So it's based off the national qualifying scores, or NQS, for each program. After week 7 of the season, teams are given an NQS. Similar to college basketball, impressive road performances are worth more in the rankings. The NQS is made up of the top 6 scores of the season, but 3 of the scores taken into account are from meets outside of the team's gym. Following conference championships, the top 36 teams advance to the NCAA regionals and then on to the nationals. Helping Sun Devil gymnastics succeed is junior Anaya Smith. Smith is one of 2 black gymnasts on ASU's team. For this Black History Month, our Tia Reed sat down with Smith to talk about her experiences growing up and her impact on young gymnasts in the Valley.
Reporting for Cronkite Sports, I'm Tia Reed, here with ASU gymnast Anaya Smith for the latest edition of Sun Devil Sit Down. And today we're going to be talking about some of Anaya's experiences and her thoughts on the changing landscape of collegiate and elite gymnastics. So, when you were growing up, as far as coaches, other teammates at your gyms, and even, some of the other gymnasts who were popular at the time, did you see a lot of people that looked like you?
With my club experience, yeah, like my teams were really diverse, so that was really cool. It's like hard because you have to have like skin colored stuff, and you have to do your hair nice, and just having other gymnasts that had hair like mine was easier to like get it done and like feel pretty.
And so then now that you're here, you know, how do you feel supported by, you know, the team, your teammates, and able to fully express, you know, your identity and when you do gymnastics?
We get to do like each February we do like a Black History Month like photo shoot, or we did my freshman year we did a video we had like a Black History Month meet kind of, and we did play the video before the meet, which was really cool. So it made me feel like accepted and appreciated, which was really nice.
Yeah, I saw the pictures from last year's shoot. They were pretty cool outside the mural and everything. Is that like a special moment for, you know, you and your other teammates that get to participate in that and just kind of have fun and express yourselves?
Yeah, that was really cool. I never knew that those murals were there, so getting to see them, they were painted really nicely, and getting to see, I think Simone Biles was on it, which was cool because I know gymnastics isn't like the biggest sport, so that was cool that she was in there.
You're doing really big things. You kind of get to be a role model for, you know, the little girls in this area that come out and watch ASU meets. How special is that to you to be able to be that role model for them?
It's really cool. I mean, there's a lot of girls that go to my club gym that they weren't there when I was there, but I just then like repost videos and stuff, so that's really cool, and it makes me like emotional to think about it, because I don't know, you never think that you're really inspiring anyone, and then when you see that, it's nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Anaya. That's all for this edition of Sun Devil Sit Down. Reporting for Cronkite Sports, I'm Tia Reed.
Playoffs? That's right, we're talking playoffs. The Pac-12 Wrestling Championships are just around the corner, and our own Blake Neiman is here to give us a preview of the event on this week's edition of Impact.
With the Pac-12 Wrestling Championships just a little over a week away, the race for the top of the conference is closer than ever. While Arizona State has been dominating the Pac-12 as of recent, with 3 consecutive conference titles and 5 over the last 6 seasons, their injury-riddled roster makes the Sun Devils vulnerable to the postseason push by both Cal Poly and Oregon State. The Mustangs were slept on coming into the season, but have everyone awake now after clinching the Pac-12 dual meet title by way of a perfect 5-0 record in conference duels, highlighted by a stunning 16-point comeback win over then number 8 ASU. Yet in tournament-style competition, Arizona State will still be favored due to their defending 4 Pac-12 individual champions. Nevertheless, even with 6 total conference champions from last season, the Sun Devils only edged out Oregon State by half a point in 2022. So expect the Pac-12 to be a razor-thin battle once again, and don't be surprised if the team on top of the podium isn't wearing maroon and gold.
Checking in with Sun Devil hockey, Riley, the team's kind of been playing like the second chair French horn in the high school band. They just got to play better, man.
Absolutely, Ethan, no doubt. But with Alaska Fairbanks coming into town this weekend, they got to have a short memory from the last time they faced off, kind of like my time in the 2nd grade. Best 2 years of my life.
Two years? Jeez, brother. Well, here's Sun Devil defenseman Ty Murchison ahead of this weekend's matchup with the Nanooks.
They're a good team. Obviously, they're in a pretty good spot for the tournament, but our hope is to end their hopes to get in. We want to be known as the only independent that gets into the tournament. So, yeah, it's a big weekend for us, and it's a big weekend for them, so it should be good games.
Like Murch said, the postseason hopes are gone, but there's still plenty to play for.
Yeah, still some games left to play. For a closer look at what ASU is trying to accomplish the rest of the season on the ice, here's Anthony Remedios.
For Sun Devil hockey, the season hasn't exactly gone as they'd hoped. By Thanksgiving weekend, ASU was sitting at an 8-7 record and defeated then-ranked number 6 North Dakota in Vegas, and earned an overtime win over number 2 Minnesota at home. Since then, they've been swept 4 times and now sit at 15-18 with 6 to play. But despite the Sun Devil struggles of late, a winning season is still attainable. A finish above 500 in the final 6 games would be the first since 2019-20, a season that would have earned ASU back-to-back playoff berths if not for the pandemic. And now, there's still a lot for the Sun Devils to play for as Fairbanks' playoff hopes stay alive.
Thanks, Anthony. Let's take it to the high dive as we check in on Arizona State at the Women's Pac-12 Swim and Dive Championships. Last night, redshirt junior Lindsay Looney took first in the 500 free event. No winners from today's event so far, but ASU currently sits at 4th place as a team based on the team's results from the first 2 days. Still waiting on final results from today. The men's swim team will compete in the conference championships next week, and to help preview the #1 team in the country, here's Tyler Bednar.
The Sun Devils are peaking at the perfect time. In the team's 7-meet win streak, the Sun Devils' domination is on another level. ASU won its past 3 meets against ranked Pac-12 opponents, including rating Pac-12 and NCAA champion Cal 211-87 and Arizona 223-58 in the program's biggest win against the Wildcats. So much of the team's success has come from superstar sophomore Leon Marchand, who is a perfect 21 of 21 in individual events this season. Marchand holds a school record in 6 events, including the 400 IM, which he most recently set the NCAA record for during the team's win against Cal.
What he does every single day in practice is something that's pretty remarkable.
To be successful in stressful and important national meets, you need a strong balance of veteran and young talented swimmers. The Sun Devils have just that in Grant House, Jack Tolan, and Owen McDonald. House is a graduate student who began his career in 2017 is the longest tenured swimmer on the team. Grant's experience swimming at national and international competitions while being an integral part of the 200 medley and 400 freestyle relays that rank fastest in the nation. Dolan is one of the team's best sprinters who has won the 53 in back-to-back meets, won the 100 free in 3 meets this season, and is a key contributor to the top-ranked relays. Zalan Sakani has been crucial in his first 2 months in Tempe. He has broken the 39-year-old 1,000 freestyle record in all 3 of his races so far this season. As the program is the best in the country, practices are ruthless, and swimmers push each other to be the best every single day to fulfill the program's ultimate goal, bring a national championship back to Tempe. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Tyler Bednar.
The Arizona State beach volleyball team kicked off its season today at the Cactus Classic down in Tucson earlier this morning. The tournament features a handful of teams, and the Sun Devils just finished the day 1-1 with a win over Oregon and loss to Boise State. Tomorrow, ASU will start the morning with Colorado and finish the tournament with UTEP.
Last weekend, members of the Sun Devil track team headed east to Albuquerque, which was the site of the U.S. Indoor Track and Field Championships. Junior Justin Robinson took home the gold medal in the 400-meter dash with a time of 45.4 seconds. That win put him at number 3 in the world standings for that event. The Sun Devils are currently in action this weekend in Seattle for the Ken Shannon Last Chance meet.
And Ethan, let's take another live look into Starkville. The Sun Devils have really extended that lead now. That's up to 9-0, bases loaded, 1 out. Looks like a pitching change maybe coming from Mississippi State.
Yeah, not really much of a surprise here. I mean, there's this meeting on the mound when you're down 9. You got to try to find a way to get back into it. I'm not sure if Mississippi State was ready for the Sun Devils in this first game here, Riley.
Taking over a historically successful program as a first-year head coach is one of the hardest things to do in college sports. That is exactly what Willie Bloomquist was tasked with last season, and the results were about what you could expect. Not good. Anytime a new coach comes into a program, the key word is culture. Getting players who fit a certain mold and play style is critical to a coach's success, and recruiting those guys was not a luxury Bloomquist was given in his first season. But things are different this year. Bloomquist and his staff were given a full offseason to recruit transfers and freshmen who fit their program and establish that key word, culture. What they have now is a healthy mix of both returners and newcomers, and the early results look good. This weekend, there will be a good measuring stick to see just how far this program has come. Although Mississippi State isn't as strong as they usually are, they are still an SEC program that has something Bloomquist so desperately craves, a national championship, which came just 2 years ago. Hail State plays in the best conference in college baseball and possesses one of the best home field advantages in the sport. A series win this weekend could put the Sun Devils back on the map and give Bloomquist that signature win in just his second season. And that's the way it is.
Top plays, top plays, top plays. Coming in at number 5, we've got Ryan Campos. Boom! That is a moonshot over the left field wall. That wouldn't be all for the Sun Devils, though, because right after that, it was Ethan Long with a shot of his own on back-to-back pitches. UNLV didn't know what hit him to start this one, Riley.
Yeah, the bats are definitely rolling for ASU baseball early on in the season. We showed you the 9-0 victory. And speaking of big victories, ASU gymnastics this week. Here's Sarah Clark on the uneven bars. We already showed it to you once, but we had to see it again. Sticks the landing there, a 9.975. Got a perfect 10 from one of the judges. That ties her career high in that event.
Crowd excited about that. Probably going to be excited about this play as well. It's Ryan Campos once again, this time behind the dish. You see him rifle that ball over there and the tag gets laid down. 4-2 ball game at this point. This would help the Sun Devils Off the field, great stuff right there.
At number 2, more gymnastics. You win a big game. We'll show it to you on Cronkite Sports Live. Here's Hannah Scharf with the double pike, sticks the landing on the floor routine. She needed a 9.9, and stop me if you heard this before, Ethan. She comes up clutch. There you see the double pike again. Gets a 9.925, giving the Sun Devils that big victory over Utah earlier this week.
Something she's done so many times, helping her team to victory. Coach Adair able to help her team to a first conference win against Oregon State. They're absolutely excited about that. As you can see her dancing around, she's known for her energy, and you can see the team just feeding off that following the 75-73 win against Oregon State.
As always, thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday. For all the people in the studio, for Ethan Tuttle, I'm Riley Swenson. We'll see you next time on Cronkite Sports Live.